dear patrons. I am in Zurich today taking care of a few bureaucratic matters, and I thought that I would make this week's journal entry a video entry rather than a written one. I just want to show you a little bit of Zurich because it is a fairly photogenic city. One thing which I really love about Zurich and Switzerland in general are these fountains, which you can see behind me. These fountains are all over the city, but they're not just there for decoration, despite being really beautiful, they're actually drinking water. So you can bring your reusable water bottle with you wherever you go, and you have an unlimited supply of drinking water almost on every street. It's really amazing, and I really love that about Switzerland. The old downtown center of Zurich has a river running right through it, and there's all these very picturesque old bridges crossing the river, and there's also these stairs leading down to the water's edge that I'm sitting on right now. I'll turn the camera around. Aladino and I do come to Zurich fairly frequently on the weekends because his parents do have an apartment here, but their apartment is in a totally different neighborhood, and so we never really come to more like the historical downtown area, and we should start coming more often because it's really beautiful. I'm just meandering around the streets and I came across a really interesting little store that I went into, and basically the whole idea of the store was to sell products which either help you to be sustainable or which are just products that you generally need in your day-to-day life, but providing a sustainable option for them. And the reason why I loved this store and the reason why I'm talking about it right now is because this idea of sustainable consumerism has been something I've been thinking a lot about lately. Last summer in the Mediterranean, I was pretty appalled to see the amount of plastic in the ocean. I mean, of course everyone hears about the amount of plastic in the ocean, but when you're actually swimming through it and like pushing plastic bags aside with your arms, really starts to kind of drive it home that, oh, actually this is pretty serious. And it made me think a lot about my own habits as a consumer and how much I don't even think about the amount of plastics, etc. that I use. And so now that our YouTube channel has taken off, we've actually started getting quite a lot of requests from merchandising companies wanting to sell t-shirts and whatever they can, just things with our logo on them. And the first question I always ask these companies is, are your products shipped in plastic bags? If so, I don't want them, because I don't want to just contribute to like this mindless use of single-use plastic. However, turns out that that's pretty limiting, and we've said no to a lot of deals that could have earned us quite a lot of money over the winter. And it's kind of raised this question for me of like, why should we have to suffer financially, and why should we have to go through extra effort in order to be good to the environment? Like, why can't we have a system where it's possible to be good to the environment and not pay 10 times as much and not be super inconvenienced? And that's why seeing stores like the one I just walked into is really cool and gives me hope that we are starting to think about these things and move into the correct direction. I know that this is totally nothing to do on the topic of Zurich, but it's a store that I walked into in Zurich and just got me thinking about things that have been running through my head for a while. And since this is my journal, I can say what I want, so I thought I'd just share it with you. I've wandered into this incredibly quiet part of Zurich that I never knew existed. It's all these small little cobblestone streets just above the river, and there's flowers and old buildings and lamps, and I can hear birds chirping, and there's the sound of those drinking fountains around every corner, and there's not a soul here. It's absolutely lovely. Something that you might have already heard about Switzerland is that there's a lot of rules. There's also a lot of police to enforce those rules. And so Switzerland is a very rule-abiding country, and one of those rules that it loves to abide is stopping always at pedestrian crosswalks. So if you're a pedestrian and you so much as cast a sidelong glance at a pedestrian crossing, the cars will slam on the brakes for you. And I've gotten so used to this that a few days ago I went to go cross at a pedestrian crossing, and you know, I could see a car was coming, but I didn't care. I figured it would slam the brakes on, and I almost got ran over, and I was shocked. I was like, okay, whoa, I need to take a step back and not trust every driver so much. But then I looked at the car that almost ran me over, and it was French plates, so it was from France, and I was like, that makes so much more sense, because France drives a bit more crazily than they do over here in Switzerland. So I'm now walking along the river kind of towards the main train station and away from the more historical downtown area. I mean, everything around here is really old, but kind of away from those really narrow cobblestone streets now. And I know that a bit further up the river are some really cool places in the summer, some bars that pop up only in the summer. I'm not sure if they're open yet because it is only the end of March and the weather's only just turning nice, but I'm gonna go see what's over there. You can actually go swimming in this river as well, which Aladino and I have done a few times. It would be very cold at the moment though. So right here, that little shop there is something quite cool that Aladino has told me about before. It's basically a metal workshop, but you can become a member and then you're able to go and work there, which is amazing because when you're living in a small European city, chances are you don't have space for a workshop. It's not like you've got a garage in your apartment or something. And so if you need to do something like metal welding, if you've got those skills but no place to do it, that's where this comes in. So it's got all the tools, you can go do what you want, and it's in this beautiful spot right next to the river. There's some really cute little bars and restaurants right next to it. And I think that's amazing. It becomes like a community hub as well as a really useful place. I am slowly walking back to the bus stop now. I've got a bus at 4 o'clock back to Kreuzlingen, which is the small little town where Aladino and I live and work. It's been a really nice day to come to Zurich, actually. It's been good to have a weekday off from work to just meander around. I mean, I had to get a lot of bureaucratic stuff done in the morning, but that's done. I'm now getting a Swiss driver's license, which turns out to be super easy. I can just exchange my Canadian ones and I don't have to do any tests, which is perfect. And I have a few answers regarding the Swiss healthcare system, which so far has been the bane of my existence. Just to be clear, I haven't even gone to a doctor. I haven't needed a single piece of medical service in Switzerland. The healthcare system here has been a bit of a nightmare just in terms of getting the insurance itself. That said, I don't think it's a nightmare for like 99% of Swiss citizens. I think it works just fine. But of course, Aladino and I always do things a little bit differently, and that never works here. So, finally got a few answers regarding that. The reason why I have to sort these things out, like driver's license, health insurance, all of that, even though we're not staying here, is because we actually have to keep our Swiss residency for the sole reason that otherwise I'm not allowed to stay in Europe. Basically, because I'm married to Aladino and he has both Swiss and Italian citizenship, I can either be a resident in Switzerland or I can be a resident in Italy. And if I want to do that, that's perfectly straightforward and easy. I can live in either of those places, absolutely no trouble, travel freely over Europe. But it means that I have to be a resident. I don't just have like free range to show up at an airport and be like, okay, that's me. Now I'm just gonna travel around on my boat. And there's no visa that's just like, okay, you can be here with your husband. It's very related to where you are living, which is obviously difficult when you live on a sailboat. So we're just gonna keep our Swiss residency, say that we still live here, because it's the only way to do it, which means that we have to have all of our proper Swiss things in place, such as health insurance, driver's license, address, all of that. And now back home to see Aladino. Just talked to my dad on the phone for the whole time that I was on the bus, which was really nice actually. And we're just about to arrive.